Hello, hello. We are hello Tova. We are learning. We're going to actually finish the Tomar Devorah today. We did Perek Shi'i last week, and the few parakim that we missed out um, are not parakim that I was prepared to teach. They're complicated ideas on Chachma, Bina, and Gvura. I think we learned the other ones. So we're going to do Perek Asiri, and for those who want to join, I think next week I'm going to start something I always wanted to learn myself, Shar Bitachon from the Rabbeinu Bachaya. Okay, so those if you're following on the hello Lauren, if you're following on the Hebrew books, it's page it's the link that I sent, and then we have the Sefaria. It's also on. It says it's number 10. Okay. So what is Perek Asiri? Perek Asiri, the Ramak says, Eich iskasher ha'adam b'kedusha ha'elyoina tadir. The point is how to integrate into your day, tadir constantly, how do you integrate to your day kedusha? So basically, this is a very focused perek, meaning to say is that the Ramak kind of gives a person a full-blown idea of how you could constantly be going in and out of times of Kedusha. And the focus is Tiferes, constantly going back to the Tiferes. Tiferes is beauty. And beauty in Yiddishkeit is Torah. Tiferes is Torah. So the beauty is Torah. And so he says like this. Perish Rab Shimon B'Zohar, meaning Rab Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Zohar, Parshas Bereshis, in the tractate Bereshis, Eza in the Parsha of Bereshis, Eza Eitza Rabba Ugdoyle Min Torah, a tremendous idea from the Torah. Ha'ech yiskasher adam b'kedusha yoina. How should a person connect to holiness? V'yishanigba v'leipard min hasfiros al yoinis tadir. And you should never go away from the spheres of Hashem. The spheres of Hashem run on a cycle of time, and a person should constantly be connecting to the sphere that's shining at that time. So, for instance, it's a big deal to give tzedakah in the morning, because in the morning is chesed. So when a person is when chesed, hey Ariel, when chesed is shining in the world, that's the time he's supposed to give tzedakah. So because Hashem is, so to say, in a chesed mode, and if Hashem is in a chesed mode, so you're connecting to the mode of chesed, and etc. So he says like this. A person has to do everything according to the proper time. What does this mean to do it according to the proper time? This is what it requires, is required from a person. Meaning to say, ladas, a person has to be knowledgeable. What sphera is working at a certain time, and to connect to that sphera. Like I said, if chesed is in a certain time, so then you do things of chesed at the time when chesed is shining. V'lasois hatikun hamisyaches elamida hashayletes, and you should do according to the midah that is ruling at that time. He says like this. Now he goes into breaking down the different times of when you should do things. Everything starts by Judaism, we start by night. When a person goes to sleep, lying in their bed, and that's so the time of night, and that is Midas HaMalchus. That's Malchus. Now the Ramak basically has Torah and Tefillah. So he goes back and forth Torah and Tefillah. It seems to me that he's talking to a person who's kind of really focusing in on a schedule of Torah, meaning a schedule of Torah mitzvahs. It doesn't seem to be putting too much time, I guess in between maybe, for other things. So he says a person is in bed, so that's the time of Malchus. Every time it says Malchus, interesting, is when we say Shema. Because when we say Shema, what are we saying? We're accepting God as King. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's accepting Malchus Shemayim, right? We're accepting God as King. So that's a time when Malchus is shining. That's why one of the times we say Shema is when we go to sleep. So that's the time of Midas HaMalchus. And he says, "V'uhaylech lishoin, hashena ke'ein misa." And then when a person goes to sleep, so he says, then sleep is almost like death because you're not functioning. And therefore, he says, so when you go to sleep, he says, Ilana de Moise Shalta. That's a time when the tree of death, I'm assuming he's referring to the tree of knowledge from Adam and Chava. That's its time to shine. That's why people are not in control. What they dream about at night, you're not in full control of yourself. And he says that's the time of the tree of death. And he says, Ma yasa. So what do you do? That if you're sleeping, so the person has to sleep. Hi Beth. If you're sleeping, you have to sleep. So what do you do that you make sure when you sleep that you don't get you don't fall under the rule, so to say, of Ilana Demaisa, the tree of death. So Mayasa Shalai, so that what do you do that the chitzanim, the external tuma shouldn't attach itself to the person? So he says, like Rebecca, he says, Yisaka v'yaktim liyiskasher b'soid hakadusha. A person should connect themselves to holiness. The hainu soid midas hamachos b'chinas kudushasa. So how do you prepare yourself to go to sleep? That you shouldn't fall under, so to say, the rule of death when you sleep is before you go to sleep, you say Shema. That's the reason we say Shema, and anyone who pays attention to the Kriya Shema Shalamita, the whole Siddur, we don't just say the Shema, we say a lot of other portions. We say Vidui, we say confession. I mean, going to sleep at night is almost like a small tefillah of Yom Kippur. But one of the things, if you notice, we say 3 times, is we talk about the guards, the 60 guards that stand around King Solomon's bed. Why do we mention this? The guards that stand around King Solomon's bed is because of this whole idea. The guards are not just talking about physical guards that are standing protecting King Solomon while he sleeps. It's always talking about spiritual guards, angels that protect the person that he or she shouldn't fall under. He says, what do we say? This is the bed of Shlomo. Shishin Gebarim, there's 60 strong people. Savilai Mikabir from the strongest people. Each one has their knife out, their sword out, ready for war. And they're scared of the night. So the night, they have to protect Shlomo. So what does a person have to do? You have to say Shema. Shema is a protection. The Kriya Shema Shalmita protects the person, that the person shouldn't become a victim, so to say, of the tree of death when they go to sleep, because you don't have control. It says, therefore, when a person goes to sleep, a person accepts God as king, which is the Shema Yisrael, and you do it properly with proper intention. Okay, so that's how you protect yourself when you say the Shema, the Malchus, and you protect yourself from the tree of death by Shema and all the other parts of the Kriya Shema that we say at night, that is meant to protect the person from the impurities of night, or I shouldn't say more, the impurities of the sleep. But now, this is the way it used to be. Some people do it still today, but not so many. It says, Kam b'chatzos halayla. You wake up at midnight, not midnight exactly, but whenever the chatzos is, midnight, the switch over from night to the mid exact point of night at sometime between 11 and 1 o'clock in the morning, depending on the time of the year. So a person should wake up at chatzos halayla. V'yitel yadav mihaklipa sheletes aleim. And you should wash your hands from the klipa that's on the person, right? You have klipa on the person. So the person falls asleep, it means you have to wash negelvarsa. That's what we do. We wash our hands when we wake up in the morning. The yavir rami psari, get rid of the bad from your skin. The varech, and you should make a bracha. V'itakin hashchina be'esek ha'torah, and you should try to connect to the shechina in studying of Torah at night. So a person wakes up at night, like David HaMelech says, that I wake up in the middle of the night to learn Torah, right? There's a famous thing, the Medrash says, the King David had a special magical harp that was placed over his bed, that was what we would call today an alarm clock, that the winds would come through at the exact chatzos and would play the harp, and that would wake up King David and he would wake up in the middle of the night at chatzos to learn Torah. And this is what it says, that when you wake up, you protect yourself from the externals. So by waking up and learning Torah, first of all, by washing your hands and getting rid of the tumah, and then you learn Torah, that's where you fight the impurities of night. And he says like this, and I wake up to my siach is speech, which is the speech of Torah. And you connect with her, meaning the Torah. V'yis'ala dioikan nishmase began Eden im hashchina hanechneses sham im hatzadikim. And he says, you elevate to the likeliness of the souls that are in Gan Eden as the Shechina enters with the tzaddikim. So that point also, he's going to say that the time of Chatzos Halayla is when the souls go into the Garden of Eden with God to learn Torah, and you do the same thing. You're with the souls in the Garden of Eden, so to say, learning Torah. And okay, so what do? We start off with going to sleep. You say Shema to protect yourself from the night. You wake up, you wash your hands, and you get ready to learn Torah. So he says, "V'hatiferes." They say, this famous. I don't know if it's a joke. You want to call it a joke? It's a famous idea that people say that when you can't sleep at night, one of the things is to learn Torah. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to be doing, and because you're supposed to be learning Torah. So the Yetzer Hara doesn't want you to get up to learn Torah, so he stops trying to wake you up in the middle of the night. So he says like this: "V'hatiferes, tiferes, which is Torah. Yavesham gam hu lishtashayim tzadikim. Torah goes to, so to say, rest with the tzadikim v'imoy bechevrasam, in kind of the chabura of shekula makshivim l'koylei. All the souls are listening to you. So it's interesting. A person gets up, and my grandfather, my mother's father, was a Jew that literally would learn, and I don't know if this was his whole life, but the time I knew him, that he would literally learn the whole time. So when we were kids, we would be in the house in Los Angeles, and he would, we were doing, we didn't, for us, it was a big deal. We were able to watch TV sometimes. So he would be, if anytime he woke up, whatever reason he woke up, and it wasn't easy for him to go up and down the steps. He had an electric thing. He'd come downstairs and he would start learning. You'd hear him learning 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. He'd come down 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes until he got tired and go back to sleep. He'd wake up another 45 minutes later, he'd start learning again. So you think that when you learn, let's say alone, sometimes people like to learn alone at night, right? It's quiet, the house is quiet, everyone's sleeping. You think you're alone. That's actually the time when it's the silence, actually the sound of the silence breaks through all the barriers. And you're actually sitting not alone. You're sitting with all the angels, and all the souls in the Garden of Eden are sitting with you to learn Torah. It says, right? Shekula makshivim l'koylei. They're all listening to your voice. Like he says in the commentary here, Shekol tzadikim makshivim l'koylei shal tiferes mechadish sham chidushim neflaim. All the Torah that's being studied, they're listening to. So he says, Harimamish nasa ima mehamisa v'ashay nasar dechad milyonim. So what happens? If you wake up and the first thing you do is wash your hands, and obviously say the blessings you have to say in the morning, you study Torah. So you go literally from death to life. B'nikshar b'soid Gan Eden, and you connect to the foundation of the Garden of Eden. V'hischil lihisnoitzeis elav or hatiferes. Now, he says, what happens? It's not just that you study Torah and the angels and the souls come to listen, but he says that the v'hischil lihisnoitzeis, the word nates, alav or hatiferes, it shines on the person, the light of tiferes of Torah. Hamisnoitzis began Eden al tzadikim, the same light that the souls have in the Garden of Eden. Became perish parshas Truma. This is it's mentioned in the Zohar and Truma, which is actually interesting. This week is parshas Truma, that when a person studies Torah at night, so again, you think you're alone, and you maybe feel like kind of maybe a bit alone, but you should know, a person should know that even, and it's by the way, it's not, I once told someone, it's not, people, you read about things like this and you say, it's not applicable to me. What does this have to do to me? I'm not waking up at midnight. I'm not studying Torah. I wake up, if I wake up at 6 o'clock, I'm happy. That's for people that are, rabbis or righteous men or women. I just was learning the Gemara Megillah says that there's 48 prophets and 7 prophetesses, women prophets that prophesied over the generations. The Gemara says there's many other prophets, but these are the ones that made a difference, let's say. The Gemara in Megillah says. So he said that's for the 48 prophets and the 48 prophetess. I think that's how you pronounce it, for women, right? That's for Huldah, that's for David, that's for the special men and women out there. But what's this mean to me? At midnight, I'm not waking up at midnight. But if you ever try it, if you ever try to wake up one time a week, one time a month, to wake up at an uncommon hour, when it's quiet outside, it's dark outside. In Seattle, you don't have to wake up too early for that in the winter. But you wake up when life isn't functioning, when things are kind of quiet. No one's expecting you to be up. and you don't have to communicate with anyone. You don't open your phone to look at WhatsApps or to check your emails or to talk to anyone, and you just get up for a half hour and study a little Torah and go back to sleep. It's an incredible experience. It's not something it's something everyone could do. Not something you have to do, but something that anyone can do. And it's an amazing experience to do that, because like he's saying, the light of Gan Eden shines in you. You're not alone. All the angels, if you have people from the other world that your parents or grandparents that you want to connect to, they're in Garden of Eden as well. So they're connecting to you at those moments. So he says like this, he continues. Okay, so that's what you do at midnight. Then he says, V'hishkim, if you go back to sleep, when the Alos HaShachar comes, when it starts to become light outside. So that's now the time to go to the shul. You connect yourself to the three fathers. When you enter the shul, you're supposed to, before you don't just run into shul, you stop and you try to concentrate that I'm entering, and I'm right now before I daven, because what do we say in the first paragraph of the Shemona Esrei? We mentioned Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So you try to connect with the three fathers as soon as you come into the shul. And how do you connect? What does it mean to connect? It says it's not just contemplation, it's also a verse that we say, Vani B'Rav Chazdecha. That's what we say in the Matovu, right? Vani B'Rav Chazdecha, we say every morning. And he's going to explain what this has to do with the fathers. Adam. And then he says like this. You connect yourself to the beauty of person, meaning before that you were connecting to the beauty of Torah. And now you're connecting yourself to the beauty of the people, meaning to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, great people that were beautiful. Kolul Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, and they were each one made up of the three major attributes of kindness, severity, or kindness, limitations, and beauty. V'nichnes the Knesses, and you enter the shul, which is Malchus, where you're accepting God as King. Umachavin b'pasik b'shalish aves, and when you think about the verse, when you talk about the three fathers, that what are you supposed to think about? He says like this: when you say Berov Chazdecha, with your great kindness, like what do we say every morning? We say in the morning Batovu. So we say the verse goes that we say Matovu halacha Yaakov Mishkan Sech Yisrael Vani Berov Chazdecha Avoy Beisecha Ishtach V'Lechal Kodshecha B'Yirasecha. Right. So you're supposed to think when you say that verse and you enter the shul, you should think about the three fathers. In what way? Berov Chazdecha, great kindness. Who is the attribute of kindness? Da Avram. This is Avram. Eshtachva, I will bow il heichal kachecha to the chamber, holy chamber, meaning the chamber of the synagogue of the shul. That's da Yitzchak. That's Yitzchak. Why? The mesitra hishtachva. He's the attribute of bowing, acknowledgement and fear. Lichoif koimoisei neged midis adin. He bows because he's gvura. He bows his form towards the attribute of judgment. To be nitche mipaneh, to be pushed away, because that's the time to push away. You want to push away judgment, so he's bowing, not in a way of I guess in a way of pushing away the attribute of judgment. Because you want to bring down compassion in your prayer to sweeten the judgment. So when you're entering the synagogue and you're praying, especially when you pray about certain specific things. So the bowing is kind of in a way to push away the attribute of judgment. Don't judge me. I have a lot to be judged for. I did a lot wrong. Don't judge me. Be compassionate. Be merciful on me. That's what Vani B'Roiv Chazdecha. That's what we say. Like we say, Aneni B'Emes Yishecha. Right? We want salvation. So he says we want to bring down Rachmanis, compassion, to sweeten the judgment. And he also says in the commentary here that actually that not just pushing it away, but by actually accepting the judgment. This accepting the judgment with love means whatever God does to you, you accept with love. That itself brings compassion. So it means the compassion is that that the judgment turns into compassion. Right? It says God goes from the seat of judgment to the seat of to provide. Provide is midas harachman, compassion. So you push away the actual judgment through accepting the judgment, and that brings upon you the compassion, and that's Yitzchak. And then what's b'yirasecha da Yaakov. Because Yaakov says, "Ma noira makom hazeh." When Yaakov prays, right? We know that Yaakov's prayed Ma'ariv. He says, "Ma noira." How fearful is this place? So when we say Yirasecha, it's referring to Yaakov. And when a person, and he says Vaharei, Koilol Atme Behem Machshav Dir Maisa. And you actually don't just bring into the three fathers in just the speech, but you bring it in thought, speech, and action. Which is also, that's why we give tzedakah when we come into shul. Like we said before, the intention of walking into the shul and thinking about that this is a moment of, like you said before, that you should think about you're going into the Tiferes of Adam. That's the kavan of what you're doing. V'hadibur hu apasik. And he says the speech is that you say actually, Vani b'rov chazdecha. And the ma'aseh is entering the synagogue. That's why people come in and they bow. So he says the ma'aseh, but also we know it's a custom to give tzedakah when you come to shul. But he's saying the ma'aseh over here is also the actual walking in to the synagogue and bowing while you say, so you think about connecting to the fathers, you say the verse, Vani b'rov chazdecha, and you're bowing to acknowledge the Orna Kodesh. Again, this applies to men and women. Then he says, "Koidim atfila," before a person prays. Oimid beis haknesses, you stand in the shul. Pi makor nevei atfila v'yichud yisoid. Before a person goes into the shul, he should pray that he could pray. We know that that's why we say Hashem sefasai tiftach ofi yagit tilasaka. We say that before Shemona Esrei. Why do we say that verse? We're asking God to open our mouth that we should pray properly. We want to make sure that we say the right words with the right intention, that we accomplish with our prayer. So we're asking God to help us pray. So he says you have to connect, that you make a prayer so you could pray, to open your mouth, he says, piv makorno ve'at tefillah v'yichud yisod. That's the concept of the yisod, connecting to the prayer, because he says makor ha'be'er, the source of the well. The well is the water, the source of the water, that you connect to the source of the water, so you should have the ability to pray, that you open up the well of prayer. Niftach be'er shu beis haknesses, you open up the well of prayer that's in the synagogue. Umisaken shchina b'chol yechelis kavanasi b'tefillah, and help a person with all their intentions of the davening. Then he continues, he says, Yotze misham, when you leave the synagogue, oile b'soid Torah, a person's supposed to go back to learning Torah. Umiskasher b'yisoid midas hayom, and you connect now, it's already daytime, and you connect to what's the attributes of the day. Umisnag ima, you learn Torah or stay connected to the Torah, kol hayom machas mincha, till the time of the mincha prayer. Shemiskasha, then you go to the attribute of gvura. We know the mincha is gvura, because you have to pull yourself away from your preoccupations to daven the mincha prayer. Shar boiker niksha b'chesed, the morning prayer is chesed, is avram. Bitfilasei. Ubeyoyim, when you learn Torah, is tiferes. Ube'ever, when it comes to the evening, meaning the time for mincha, is a time of gvura. And this, he says, the time of gvura, when we do mincha, so we have the morning prayer is shacharis, is connecting to chesed. Then we learn Torah or connect to Torah. That's why a person always should try to learn a little bit of Torah in the business. So you kind of carry the Torah into the day. Then by mincha it's gvura, because you have to pull yourself away from your work and your whatever you're doing to daven mincha. That takes a lot of strength. And then, of course, when you go to shul, you do the same thing. You think about connecting to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You say the verse Vani b'rov chazdecha, and you bow towards the Orna Kodesh. And he says, "Ubein zeh lezeh," and in between all this prayer, means between mincha and shachris. So he goes, "Koisha shchina ima besudase." When you eat, you connect with the shchina. Eating shouldn't just be about you. Shegoyim chesed im ha'ani azois, like it says about Hillel, the wise, Hillel the elder, that when he ate, he would say, "I'm connecting my soul with my body. So I'm doing a chesed so I should stay healthy. So I should be able to continue to serve Hashem." As Hillel the elder said, a person has to know their animal soul, and the animal soul needs to eat. And Hillel says, "I want to eat, but I'm doing a chesed with my body, because now when I eat, I'll be able to serve Hashem properly." And he continues and he says, This is what a person should think about. When a person eats, you should think that you're connecting your animal and your godly soul to your body. That by eating properly and eating with the right intention and eating the right types of food and making the blessings before and after when you eat, so then you're actually taking the food becomes a holy experience. Like the Tanya says, and when a person eats, they elevate the food, right? Food could feed good or feed bad. If you want to run the marathon and eat, so the food is feeding the energy for the marathon. If you want to do something bad, right, you need strength to do something that's bad. So then you're using the food for negative. If you want to use the food for Torah or for Torah mitzvahs, so then you're feeding the body and the goof and the animal soul, so you could continue serving Hashem. Nothing wrong with running the marathon. I'm just saying there's different things that you feed the food for. If you when you run the marathon, you think to this: I want to be a healthy body, so I can serve Hashem better. And then he says, this is how you continue with your cycle of the day. And after you do the mincha and you connect to the severity, meaning you have to pull yourself away from the day. Himtin le'erev v'yard et teferes el malchus. There comes the evening, and now the teferes, the beauty is the person. The person's beautiful when you live like this. We know that beauty in Torah is multiple colors. Chesed and Gvura is beautiful. Yaakov gives Yosef a beautiful jacket of a lot of colors. Colors means there's a lot going on. And the beauty is to make all that's going on into a picture and an image of beauty. A single color dress or suit is nice, is sharp, but it's not the same idea as a power to mix colors. And what's beautiful in the person is not a single attribute. If you're just chesed, you have great chesed. And you have great gvura limitations. You're very strong with yourself. You know how to control yourself. Or you have other great things. That's all nice, but that's not Tiferes. Tiferes is a beautiful person. Is all the components together make something beautiful, and that's a complete person. That's why Tiferes is completion. So when you have a complete day like this, not that you're doing anything different than anyone else. You're working and but your days what comes out is a beautiful person, a beautiful day, and a beautiful person. So he says after you go out of Gevura of Mincha, the day is coming to an end. Himtin le'erev v'yard at teferes l'malchus. You go back to learning Torah. So again, you're the beautiful person who put all these colors together. That goes back to Malchus. What's Malchus? We said Malchus is Shema. When did we say Shema? By Ma'ariv. And then you enter the night. You again accept God as your king by saying the Shema, which is part of the Ma'ariv, the evening services. Again, you go into the shul. Like we said, you walk in, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, you bow towards the Arna Kodesh. And you go and connect yourself to the shul, like I said, speech, action, and thought. And then you bring, he says, you connect yourself again to bring the beauty home, right? So you've been away a whole day. You woke up early. Talking about a person who has what a beautiful day, right? You wake up at midnight, you learn a little Torah. Let's say you go back to sleep and you wake up again and you go to shul and you daven and you eat and you go to work and you pull yourself and continue. All these are beautiful things. And then he says, so what happens afterwards? He says that you go back home, Beis Malane, the place of your resting. Yatsi Beis HaKnesses Yachid Atzmei Mamish Malchus Levad. B'soit Kabos Al Malchus Shemaim. He says, and you connect yourself again. After you learn at home also, it says you're supposed to learn a little bit at home again when you come home. Obviously creating an environment of beauty in the house. And then you go back to getting ready to say Shema before you go to sleep. And he says, and this is a person who's constantly connecting to what's happening. So in heaven, when it becomes time to go to sleep, is when again God's kingship is shining. You again accept. So we say Shema, right? We say Shema in the morning, we say Shema in the evening, we say Shema before we go to sleep. You learn, you're integrating Tiferes beauty, which is Torah, throughout your day. You're exercising kindness and exercising compassion, and you're exercising strength in being a strong person, being strong with yourself, being strong with your impulses, and not to give in to things, and to sometimes break away from what you're very preoccupied doing, whether it's right or wrong, and davening mincha. So, right, you're kind of building this whole basket of beauty. And then he says, and then you're a person who's with all the strengths of the day. You're a complete person. And you're connecting with the lights that are shining throughout the day and the evening and night. And he finishes off, this is how the Tomar Devorah finishes off the Sefer. This is the last paragraph of the book. It says, this that I tell you, it all comes from the Zohar in the book of Bereshis. And everything else I said comes from the different places of the Zohar. He's giving his references. This is an amazing idea. How a person's always connected to holiness. Again, this is an important aspect of what he's saying. It's not a person may think the only way they could connect to Hashem, I'm going to, every time I see something, I'm going to give tzedakah. I'm going to only connect to chesed, right? Every time I feel like I need to connect to Hashem, I'm going to do chesed. That's very nice, but you have to have all the components. And he says, and that's how you connect yourself, because you're also made up of other components. You're not allowing the other parts of yourself to connect to Hashem. It's the only way you connect to Hashem, and it's very nice to connect to Hashem with chesed, but if the only way you connect to Hashem is with chesed, so then the times that you're not doing chesed, there's other parts of you that are not being connected to Hashem. So it's like tying one sleeve. So yeah, maybe it'll hold the whole body, but it's not all the parts of you, and you have many components. So the Tiferes is all the components, and it says Iter Hashchina Mal Roisha, and the crown of God, the Shechina won't be lacking from over your head. He says Tam v'nishlam shevach l'bayri olam. Says he completed. He says they may be God's will if they recall before Hashem. Sheniska be'emes, we should truly merit lasis returning to do God's will. L'sakenis nafshasenu, we should complete and fix our souls. V'nishmasenu b'chol tikini amidus, with all the attributes of Hashem. V'neilach b'darkenu rachim, walk in the ways of compassion. They finish off the Sefer. V'niska liras tamid, we should merit to see always ourselves. But he finishes off a tremendous line. V'niska liras tamid, like he says in the Tanit Ve'aliyah. V'niska liras tamid, v'mayas chavarenu, we should always only see the good in our friend, which is going back to the whole Sefer from when we started. The main focus was how we interact with people. Always only see the pluses, the uniqueness of our friends. Don't focus on the negative. And that's how he ends the Sefer. We finished the Tomar Devorah, and it's very nice for all those who joined for either part of the classes or all the classes. I'm happy we did this, and we did it also. Thank you, Tova and Shimon, for sponsoring this class, and also for the Refuah Shalema for our dear friend Pinchas Paul Ezus. He should have a true Refuah Shalema, and B'toch Klal Yisrael, and it should only be good for all of Israel. It's brought down again from Reb Chaim of Tzanz that a person who learns the Tomar Devorah only brings kindness and chesed and rachamim in their life, and also brings healing. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mendy. I have a question. What's the next study book on? What's the subject that you're doing?
It's Shar B'tachon, which is Ben Bechaya. He was from the Rishonim. He lived about 1,000 years ago. This is a very, very famous from the Chovos Levavis. He has different gates. This is the gate of trust, and this is the, you could pretty much say, the piece of work in Torah from all ages and from all times that deals with the attribute of trusting Hashem. And he defines what does it mean to trust Hashem. It's actually much deeper than that. It's not like it's just about I trust Hashem and I have bitachon in Hashem. It's actually, when I started to learn it last week from the Hagdam, it's actually more about, not so much about, it's about giving value to yourself. It means when a person is lacking trust and they become vulval, become confused with their life, then even if you're in a bad situation in your life, you have a lot of important, valuable things that are going on in your life. And when everything collapses under the weight of pressure, so you're collapsing a building that doesn't deserve to be collapsed. You have a lot of things to be proud of and be strong with. And there are things that could be eating at you. There could be anxieties that are really getting at you. But you can't allow that to bring down the building. And it's I mean, it's not as much as important it is to have trust in Hashem. His focus is also have trust in yourself.
Hmm.
It's very,
Beautiful.
very, very
Hmm.
powerful.
Nice.
Rabbi,
Looking forward.
All right, take care, everyone. Yeah, hi, Rebecca.
hi. So I have a question about something you just learned with us.
Sure.
So I've learned that the daytime until Shkia is like an ace ratzon. And a lot of people for that reason only say Tehillim during the day, not at night. But then I've also learned, as you just taught us, that the time between Chatzos Halayla and like Alos HaShachar or whatever is a really powerful time as well. So does that okay to say Tehillim and like that
Yeah.
between
Yes,
midnight?
you could say Tillim after Chatzos. The
Okay.
the kav of Chesed starts to shine then. That's why, like you're saying, it's very important. It's a very important time to learn Torah at that time and to do Chesed.
So you're
People like
saying, so the time between Shkia and midnight, that's not a good time
yeah, I
thing.
mean, it's not. I mean, Chatzos isn't exactly midnight like we know it. It's really the time, the hours of the Torah, but it's about
Right.
midnight.
Okay. And also I know it's best to wash Nagel Wasser like from your bed, but like I tried that and I kept knocking over the bowl by then. Is it okay to like walk to the bathroom to do it, or it's really better to do it from your bed?
People try to do it by their bed, but if you can't, then what some people have done is that you try not to walk. Let's say the distance between your bed and your sink is, let's say, 20 feet. So
Mm-hmm.
you take small steps and stop. So you shouldn't do a full walk, like less than like 5, 6 feet at a time. So 4 amas. So you try to stop. So it's not a full walk. I'll just tell you a story before you finish off that. My great grandfather was a great chassid, and his family didn't survive the war. His wife and some of his children. So he lived in 770 by the Rebbe. He had a room, but when he got older, he needed a chair, so he couldn't live in 770. So he moved into my father's parents' house. And my mother-in-law, my grandmother, was a young woman who just had a nice house and all that. And he would sleep. He actually, because he didn't have so much space, he slept in the dining room, and he would wash his negovasser, and his negovasser would, like you said, it would spill on the floor. And she was frustrated, that he felt he was ruining her floors.
Yeah.
And she went to her mother, who was a Stolna Chasida, and she told her that, my father-in-law, Reb Shmuel, he's ruining my floors. So she said to him, he goes, "You lucky. That's the best polish you could have on your floors. Is the
Yeah.
water."
Oh,
Well, maybe because he's project, but for the rest of us, I assume that water is like full.
It's full of tumor, but you're doing something positive with it. Getting rid of the tumor.
Okay, thank you so much.
Laila Tov, everyone. Take care till the next class.
take care.
Yeah.